Hi, hello viewers. We are Cotton Academy, and today we'll talk about the animated series The Ghost and Molly McGee, or rather about main complaints to how the creators, clearly not understanding in advance what they want to make a cartoon about, managed to accidentally demonstrate an abusive relationship as healthy, and I apologize in advance for my accent and for my English. The first episode of the series is called The Curse. In the city of Brighton, there is non-residential house haunted by a ghost named Scratch. One day, McGee family moves into this house. Scratch isn't happy with this.
Family moving into my house? Oh, no. I gotta stop.
The first person he encounters in person is Molly, who was the first to happily run into the house. Scratch tries to get rid of Molly, but she's persistent. Then Scratch curses Molly, clearly to scare her and drive her away. Apparently this is some form of magic available to ghosts. The essence of the curse is that if Molly does not leave the house, then Scratch, wherever Molly goes and whatever she does, will be there. He will chase Molly, scare her. However, Molly is not afraid of the curse either. Molly begins to furnish the room while Scratch continues to unsuccessfully try to scare her. As Molly completes the room, Scratch asks.
What if I ask nicely? Leave.
To this, Molly refuses, explaining that her family needs to live in this city because of her father's job. She also notes that her family changed their place of residence many times.
I've left behind a lot of friends.
This phrase will be important for us a little later. Molly decided that Scratch would be her new friend here. Scratch decides to run away from house himself. Molly is upset.
You did the too friendly thing again!
She calls Scratch and suddenly he starts to glow and flies back. It turns out that the curse he put on Molly works in such a way that he must be there. He is forced to be with Molly.
You come to me whenever I say your name? On demand, bestie?
Then Scratch will go to the world of ghosts. There he will ask our ghosts for advice on what to do now. Based on the text of the curse, it is explained to him that it is enough for Molly to leave the house. Scratch explains that Molly is not afraid of him, and then he is advised to scare the rest of Molly's family so that the family is forced to leave. Scratch tries to scare the family, but Molly comforts her family and the family stays in the house. After watching the first episode, I was very intrigued. So, where is Molly? She suffers from a lack of friends due to her family moving frequently. Scratch also has no friends.
Ridiculous. You have no friends.
But this doesn't bother him. Scratch, as briefly explained in the first episode, must maintain a low level of happiness in the city. Otherwise, he will be forever sent to so-called flow of failed phantoms. He acts very selfishly when he ruins the life of so many people. On the other hand, he is forced to do this, one might say, under the threat of eternal imprisonment. Now Scratch is forced to be with Molly.
On demand, bestie? It's the future of friendship.
In Molly's understanding, he becomes a new friend for her, and one who will never leave her. Of course, this is a completely unhealthy relationship. Molly does something really bad when she uses Scratch's mistake to force him to be her friend. Friend! And you know, it's an interesting story. A couple of characters who both act selfishly, but both have a reason to doing so. This pair of persons who worth each other are now together. It's a very bold story. Such stories are rarely created. The two main characters, one who ruins the life of the whole city, and the other who keeps the first in an almost abusive relationship.
Can't believe you're all mine!
And so, I felt that the main storyline of the animated series is the development of the toxic relationship between Molly and Scratch. I have already theorized how by the end we will understand each other better, realize their mistakes, but forgive each other and become real friends. I also thought that the second of two main storylines would be Scratch's moral choice. Keep ruining the city or go to the flow of failed phantoms. But I was very wrong. In the next episode, Molly goes to school in this city for the first time. Scratch follows her. In order to force Molly to leave the house, he decides to ruin her life here, starting with her first day at school. However, Molly doesn't do well on her first day anyway, antagonizing the girl everyone fears and obeys, potentially ruining her schooling.
You ruined this day way better than anything I could have done. I mean, that was some primo stuff.
But towards the end of the episode, when it's almost over for Molly, Scratch seems to suddenly have a guilty conscience or something, and he decides to use his powers to help her. Later, after Molly and Scratch have already left the school building, Molly remarks that Scratch helped her as a friend, and although Scratch finds another explanation,
Because otherwise, you would be headed to jail and you drag me along.
it is clear that their relationship began to improve. And so, after literally the first couple of 11-minute episodes, creators seems to have forgotten that Molly is holding Scratch by force. The moral choice of Scratch in the next episodes will rarely be remembered, but thanks for at least not completely forgetting. In fact, Molly and Scratch's abusive relationship will now be shown as completely healthy, and this is unacceptable. I spent a lot of time explaining what happened in the first 22-minute pair. I did this despite the fact that my discussions about moral choice and toxic relationship will not matter for the rest of the series. It would be strange to devote so much time to just one of my complaints, even as serious as the demonstration of an abusive relationship as healthy. But it was important to explain. The beginning of the animated series, the first episode, absolutely does not fit the rest of the animated series. This is very bad. Also, this is an example of a problem that will often come up later at smaller scale. Creators themselves do not understand in advance what kind of animated series they want to make.
I super appreciate you staying up all night, but we decided to go in a bold new direction.
If you liked the video, then I suggest you consider the option of subscription, like and comment, especially if you have your own thoughts on the theme of the cartoon and of my video. I'm a beginning YouTuber, I need your feedback. Goodbye everyone!